the bottom line up front, what is it that you really want people to understand when it comes down to rejection?
Is that rejection is normal. We all have experienced it and will experience it numerous more times throughout life. And as we've already mentioned, is not to internalize it, but process it. Don't even try to, what's the word I want to say, reject it. Sometimes like, oh no, that's not what it is. It's not rejection. So don't make up anything about it. If someone has rejected you, then it is what it is. One of the things I like to ask myself too, when I tell people to do this, is check out the importance of the relationship. Like if it's a business relationship, if it's your career, your manager, someone who has rejected you or what have you, family member. So how important is that relationship to you? Okay. Because sometimes people who reject you, it ain't even worth you crying about, move on. All right. So you don't want to be my friend no more. Okay. Your friendship didn't matter that much into my life. When someone closed you off of Facebook, they blocked you. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and cry about that. Okay, right. Whatever the reason is, that's you. Sometimes it's a you problem, It's not you, but it may be them. It's their problem. Right. So check out the importance of the relationship. But if it does mean that much to you, then it may be worth going to have a conversation. It's just like, hey, you did this and it made me feel this way. Because if you don't know, you can't be held responsible for how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I need to come and have a conversation with you. So I'm carrying around this anger and I'm upset and you abandoned me, you rejected me. And you don't even know that I'm feeling that way. So now I've withdrawn from you and you're thinking everything's okay when it's not. And instead of me going and having a conversation with you. So if the relationship is that important and the person made you feel rejected, then let's go have a conversation and let's try to mend it and bring it back to right standing in your mind, because your mind, you may thinking it's okay, So, but in my mind, it's not. So if I don't never tell you, you don't have the opportunity to correct it.
Right.
Or to explain. It may not be anything that needs to be corrected, but to be explained, So now I have a better understanding. Be like, oh, okay, I was thinking something totally different.
Yeah.
But don't internalize the rejection. See if you can learn from it, because rejection sometimes is a growth opportunity. So, hey, I didn't get the job, and I had this happen in my own experience before. I didn't get it. So you know what I did? I want to know what the feedback was. I had this great, wonderful interview in my mind. So what was the feedback? And a lot of times it was like, well, Angela, I think you were a great candidate. However, for what we're looking for at this particular time, we think it best another candidate has. They may have one more quality. I may have one more year of experience than I had. And they decided to go with them. Then take away from, oh, they didn't like me, or they didn't feel my resume was great enough, or I had good skill set. No, maybe for a different, maybe in years, coming years. And you know what? Sometimes they'll even give you, hey, do this. If you do these two things, you'll be ready for the next time this position comes open. Absolutely. And so now I can take that and I can grow from it, because now I have information. This is what they're looking for. And I may not have it at this moment, but now I can go work towards it. So sometimes rejection is a good thing, because we can use it as a growth or learning opportunity.
Absolutely. See, that's where I'm going to go with this whole conversation, right? I mean, I am so glad you touched on the learning aspect of it, because I believe that's really what we must learn to do. Yes. We must learn to view every opportunity or every situation, doesn't matter what, good, bad, or indifferent. We must learn to view every situation as an opportunity to learn and grow.
That's
right?
True.
And then I'm going to use that information that's on your shirt as well, because your shirt says a multitude of gratitude. So we become appreciative for every situation, even if it didn't work out the way we envision it.
Right.
And here's the other part. Maybe we need to maybe we should understand that it was probably how we seen it that was more so of the problem than the other person's response. That was the problem. So when I look at it, I like to consider, in any given situation, first and foremost, my emotions, how I feel about a thing, is my responsibility. Now, we're not saying that it's not important. I want to make sure I say that. How you feel, regardless of who you are, where you are, what you do, and what you've been through, how you feel is important. However, what we need to understand is that how I feel about a situation only helps me to recognize where I am in the continuum of my location in reality. So first and foremost, it requires me to clearly identify reality. I'm just going to be honest with you.
That's true.
And based upon some of the things I've heard, some people struggle with identifying reality. So that's the first thing that we need to be able to do. We need to be able to identify reality. Secondly, I need to know where I am within the space of reality in my location, which means I need to have a clear identity of who I am. That's another piece that we have to actually do the necessary work early to get there. And this is what we're talking about. We start talking about these things. Like you mentioned, you had the privilege to meet your mother and you asked her that difficult question because I wanted to know. I just wanted to know why. Because it helps me to be a more whole person. I mean, I don't know, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I might be on the wrong path, but that did a great justice to your upward progression.
Exactly, it did. Yes.
And a lot of times we don't necessarily understand that. We'll put in our mind, well, I'm good. I don't necessarily need this person. I don't need to talk to this person, blah, 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 blah. It's healthy for you so that you can have a better understanding of who you are. Your identity is the most important aspect of your journey. So
now, can I interject something there for a minute? So yes, me meeting my biological mom, it did help my progression of who I was, my self-identity. But I also want to say that because I had already started the journey, if I had never met my mom, the fact that I needed to identify who I was, because again, sometimes the reason why we internalize things so much is because we don't really know who we are. So we're saying, if I know who I am and someone says something about me or they reject me, it's not going to affect me as much because, I know who I am. That's not true. So because I didn't know who I was and I had already attached all these negative things, you're not good enough, this, that, and the other, whatever. So your mother gave you away. So none of that was true, but I didn't even know who I was. So again, through this, my therapy and going through counseling and things of that nature, I was able to start identifying my worth. My self-value and identifying who I am. So sometimes people reject you because you are all that in a bag of chips and it's about them because they can't handle you, So, but if you don't know who you are, then you will accept everything that someone says about you. Oh, well, no, you're just not good enough. Well, yes, I am good enough. May not be good enough for you, but I am good enough for someone who recognizes my value. So it is important that you identify with who you are first.
Absolutely. And again, just want to be, just clear when it comes down to, this learning path that we're supposed to be on. And again, I have to address it that way. It's a learning path. If we get to the point to where we, in any given situation, we feel like the information that we know is complete, whether it's about us, whether it's about the situation, whether it's about the space between here and there, we're missing a huge point. Because one of the things I believe in, and I know that there are some people who would disagree with me, and that's okay. I don't say it to convince, I just say it to consider, right? No one.
I like that. Write that down. I don't say it to convince. I said to consider. Or use that one. Yes.
But one of the things I believe is that no one is as great as they think they are, and no one is as bad as they think they are. You're someplace in the middle. So that requires us to be humble within our approach to everything we do. And so if for me, and I can only talk about me, if I focus on the learning, maybe it didn't work out. Maybe our relationship, situationship, whatever you want to call it, maybe it didn't work out. What did I learn about myself within this time frame? Because the unhealthy side of that conversation is, this person did this to me and this person did that to me. That's unhealthy for you. So what we have to do is turn it around, because I appreciate, again, everything that I've ever been through. I appreciate every moment in time. And so I have to look at it for me. Like, what did I learn about myself? How does that information help me to grow? I'm telling you, it does wonders for the person who is actually able to self-regulate themselves to get to that point. I can't go through life blaming everybody and everything for my current situation. I have to take some type of personal responsibility so that I can be healthy enough to be accountable to everybody that's in my social circle. And I just believe that's important.
And that's it in a nutshell. With when I was having a conversation, I mentioned earlier with someone, and I was saying, well, if this hadn't happened, because I was blamed. I wasn't taking accountability for my own actions. So it's like, how much are you gonna use that for an excuse to not be where you need to be and you're not doing what you're supposed to do? And I'm just like, oh wow, I have been doing that. So taking accountability, because I'm not responsible for anyone else's actions, but I can only be responsible for mine, to how I respond to it. So if I sit here in this pity party and wallow in depression and upset because things didn't go my way and my expectations weren't met, or you walked away from me or rejected me or what have you, I'm responsible for how I deal with that. So no, I'm not going to sit here and wallow in my depression. I'm going to get up and do something about it and self-check, analyze myself. Okay, what else do I need to do? What else can I do? Is there something I need to do? Right. And then how I'm gonna go about that and move on.
Absolutely.
We definitely have to do that.
And another part I want to add to that, and I know I keep adding on to your statements. I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
Another part I want to add to that. This is essential, right? This is essential. First and foremost, I need to look at my circle. If I have a circle and I understand that the people that I connect with, they're not responsible for their own actions, I need to identify where I am with them as well. Because maybe I can help them to understand that, look, don't do that. Focus on the things that you need to focus on. Mm-hmm. But if they just don't want to do it, it becomes unhealthy for me in the long term. I need to surround myself with people who take responsibility for their actions. Why? Because they can be great accountability partners for me, and vice versa. That's important. So when we start talking about our environment is very key to our progressive nature. So I wanted to make sure I inject that in there, because personal responsibility is the gateway to accountability. It doesn't work the other way around. And I've heard people use it on different platforms. Like, we got to take personal accountability. Okay, sure, but it's responsible because it's mine. It was given to me. My life was given to me for this moment in time, and I have been placed in charge to do what is best for the healthy progression of me, so that I can be accountable to and for others. That's how it works. And for those things that you're in charge of, husbands, right? You are responsible for your family, right?
That's right.
And they actually want you to be accountable to them. That's what they want. That's what they need. And I can't be accountable to them if I don't take personal responsibility for that which I am in charge of. So
if you never take accountability, you're gonna never grow. So that's why so many people don't make it in life or succeed to the level or capacity that they're purpose to be, is because you don't want to take accountability for your actions. And sometimes people are comfortable in their pain. They baby it because they like the attention that they get from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this happened to him. He went through a divorce, or, she had a child that died, and so she's still grieving, and it's been 20 years. Like, okay, I understand grief, but how long are we going to keep grieving the loss of something or someone and not move forward in our life? How long are we going to hold our father not being in our lives, for us not to man up and be the men that we're supposed to be, or our mother not being there for us to woman up and be the woman that we're supposed to be for our children? How long are you going to wallow in that? But growing, as they call growth pain, sometimes it's painful. It's not always easy to grow, but it's necessary. We have to go through the pain. I'm gonna use this analogy about her, because about grapes. Now, I've never been to the vineyards yet. I'm going to go sometime soon, but I know that there's a pressing in the grapes in order to get the juice out so they can make the wine. So if we're grape or the olive, we got to be crushed in order to get the oil out. That's painful. So if we're being crushed, it's a process that we have to continue through, that we have to get through in order for the best to be brought out of us. So if I don't want to allow myself to go through that process and be accountable for that, I'm going to always be stagnant and stay here while I'm looking at everybody else excel, and I could be too, but I'm still sitting here because I don't want to be accountable. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through this process. I'm going through this pain, because I could have sat there even when the light bulb went off and said, hey, you're using this as an excuse. And I'm just like, I could say, well, I'm still going to use an excuse because this is what happened to me. And what happened to you, we're not devaluing that, or whatever the case may be, or how it affected you. Yes, it may have hurt that you didn't get the position, or someone walked away, went through a divorce. But now what am I going to do with that? How am I going to use it for my betterment? So you got to take up responsibility. I love this.
Yeah, me too. I looked back just now because you started talking about crushing, and it reminded me of a book I have back on my shelf by T.D. Jakes. It's a great book, by the way. If you ever get the opportunity.
What's the name of it?
Crushing.
Okay, it's called Crushing. Okay, that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great book if you get the opportunity to read it, man. Yeah. It is a phenomenal book. So, last thing I'm going to say about what you just said. Superman doesn't exist. He's fictitious, right?
Yes.
And here's the other part. We need to stop looking for somebody to come save us. No one is going to come and save you. In fact, the only person who can save you has already done everything he's going to do. So now it's your time.
Yes.
It's your time to save yourself. And here's the last point. If a person comes to save you, what that ends up doing is creating a line of dependency. So I'm just going to leave that one right there.
That's good. Yes, that's true. That's true.
So we talked about a lot of great things here, and you gave us the many hats that you wear. And I like what you said. You called yourself a serialpreneur. Tell us about the future plans of the serialpreneur, also known as Angela E. Stevenson.
Yes, Angela E. I was trying to hurry up and left that E off of there, but it's no big deal. No, I'm just playing. Oh, wow. Where do I want to start? So next month, August 9th, September 8th to be exact, is that I'm launching my podcast called The Takeover. And of course, you're going to be a guest on here, probably more than once on my show. Also, I am getting ready to start filming soon. We'll start casting. We're going to start casting in November for a TV series that we've written. And it actually deals with part of my life story. It's called In Between Blood and Family, being that I was adopted and now I have these two families that I'm dealing with who are like night and day. So I'm excited about that, and definitely The Takeover, which is a coaching brand. It is really for self-development. We want to take over our lives, our mindset, and transform for the better. We want to take over our business because I love business. So we're going to be helping people launch and manage businesses and give information that's going to excel your business to the next level. And then relationships, and not just platonic or romantic relationships, but relational with our family, siblings. There's sibling rivalries, our friendships that we have. How do we cultivate those, and how do we motivate and inspire other people with our gifts and talents as well? So that's what The Takeover is going to be about. The podcast is going to be a combination of those things as well. So that's just a little bit of what I have going on.
Man, this is amazing. I mean, so first and foremost, I am always accepting in advance for to appear on your podcast. So I look forward to any and all invitations that you extend. And if you're connected with her on Facebook, which we're going to get there here in a second, she put a picture. I want to say it was either yesterday. I think you did it, and I think it was a picture of your first casting for your first play.
I was actually on stage at the 14th Street Playhouse Theater. That was the first play, actually.
Yeah, 9 years ago, right?
Yep, 9 years ago. Man,
that is awesome. So if you're connected with her, if you're not yet connected with her, by all means, just go take a look at that picture. It's nostalgia at its finest. And then the takeover sounds like it's just going to be phenomenal, from the podcast to the actual brand itself. And there's no doubt in my mind there's going to be a great success. And if there's anything I can do to help you with it, by all means, I am a phone call away.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, that's what personal responsibility and accountability is all about, right? So I kind of touched on it a little bit. So how can these people who are listening to you right now that's just blown away by the serialpreneur, also affectionately known as Angela E. Stevenson, and all of the great and wonderful things that you're doing, if they just want to connect with you, follow you, reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yes. Of course, Facebook, Angela E. Stevenson. The Takeover also has a page. It's the Takeover_EDU. And it's the same thing on Instagram, the Takeover_EDU. And then we also have a website, which is angelaestevenson.com.
Awesome.
That's how you can connect with us.
I love it. Connect. Now, see, so you kind of shared something just now. You added the EDU on it. So are we doing accreditation?
We're not doing accreditation.
Okay.
But
all right.
I feel like it's going to be educational in the sense that I am giving you tools and I'm educating you on how you can take over your life in those 3 areas, in your self-development, in your business, and in your relationship.
Okay, we'll talk accreditation later. Very well.
Okay.
See, this is what I'm saying. This is what accountability is all about. I keep trying to tell people, like, if you're not helping somebody else grow, then what value do you add? So I just believe that that's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, this part of the show is bittersweet to me because it identifies the end. But this is where you give your most salient point. So with that being said, what are your final thoughts on understanding and appropriately handling rejection?
I'm just going to say this, is that you matter. Because sometimes when we're dealing with rejection, we feel like we don't matter, that we're not needed, that we don't have value. No one is taking interest in us, but you do. You have value. Everything about you matters. And you may not realize to who yet, but you were created for a purpose. You're here on this earth for a purpose and a reason, and you matter. And you should matter to you first. You have to recognize and understand that you matter. What are your good qualities, your traits? What is it about you that you like? Because there's somebody, what are you offering? What are your talents? What did God create you for? Because you have to recognize that there's value and worth in you first. And when you do that, it will radiate out. And then you will begin to attract the people who also recognize your value and your worth. But you matter. So regardless of who's walked away, who turned away, what you lost, you still matter and you have value and you are valuable to many people. And I pray that you recognize it first within yourself.
I love it. I started smiling because you started speaking my language, right? You started saying attraction. And that's my talking piece right there. This isn't about me though. This is about you. So again, listen.
I think that's why we bounce. Yeah.
So listen.
So well.
Listen, the Angela E. Stevenson, AKA the serialpreneur, AKA, just so many different hats that you wear. Man, I appreciate.
Go check me out on Amazon. I'm going to relaunch my book next year, Misery, Mess, and Miracles. But that book is powerful, not because I wrote it, but there's a lot of information, the story of the character Yolanda, of how she dealt with rejection. So again, it's fictional, but a lot of my truth was poured into this book and this character, Yolanda. So go read this, go get the book on Amazon, Misery, Mess, and Miracles.
All right, very well. I will add that to my list. So again, just thank you for your time, that you gave us. We understand that your time is very limited and precious. And
we're not gonna go there.
That was an inside joke, y'all. Inside joke. Listen, Angela, thank you so much for your time, energy, and efforts. And on behalf of the Empowering Perspective community, we appreciate you. We love everything that you're doing, and you're always invited to come back at any point in time. And we look forward to cross collaboration here in the future.
Look for us.
So with that being said, have a great rest of your day.
You too, and thank you again for having me.